Just waiting for that little thing. Aha, we are on. We are live. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to talk to you about this subject today. I love this subject, and I know that in my many years, I have used this knowledge to solve some relationship situations. So, you know that today we're going to talk about thinkers and feelers and how to play well with each other. So, my question to you is going to be, what do you think you are? Do you think you're more of a thinker or do you think you're more of a feeler? Well, I've oftentimes wondered in my life how some people just are able to communicate well with one another. They seem to have an ease about it. And then other times, oh my gosh, it can be so difficult. I mean, so difficult. And then many times too, many of you out there that are listening, you take personality tests. I know I have taken a lot of personality tests. And most of us, we put real energy into being a warm human being that can get along with other people, right? And that we want productive relationships, right? Yes, exactly. But all personality profiles that I have found and been tested on really have two basics about them that span all of them. And that's really being a thinker and a feeler. Now, there's a lot of complex ones out there, and I really enjoy reading about most of them. But today we're gonna simplify it down to thinkers and feelers. Okay, we're gonna simplify this. And thinkers and feelings, they make decisions, but they make decisions in different ways. They either react or they act. Okay, have you noticed that? So, my friends, what are you? Are you a thinker and feeler? Pat, hi, Pat. It's good to have you on. Aquila, it's always good to have you. And also, Birgit Johnson from Germany, it's great to have you on too. You know, it really is true, though, that we have both qualities. And this is a way we're going to zero in how we make decisions and which one of those is the most dominant for us. Now, since we make about 35,000 decisions a day, this topic can be a real help in understanding yourself and other people. Have you ever noticed that you many times will see other people as well as yourself have married your opposite? Thinkers marry feelers, feelers marry thinkers. It happens all the time. We work around our opposites. We play with our opposites. We have children that are our opposites. We have best friends that are. We can have an accountant that we clash with in many different ways. But it's how we make decisions or how we just plainly see life. Okay, you guys, you ready to go on this? I'm ready to go with you. Okay, this topic, I love it. I know you will too. And thanks for being on. Are you a thinker or are you a feeler? So as we talk about this, please comment in the comment box. Talk about your feeler, your thinker, maybe the person that you live with, maybe some ways that you found to be able to kind of slow down that thinker a little bit while you're talking to a feeler, okay? And not provide every single answer. Because you know, there's a big difference between men and women. Oh, yes, not all of us are feelers, and not all of them are thinkers. But how would, okay, let's take this one. How would a person look at a menu? How would a thinker look at a menu? Well, most often I have found that the thinker looks at a menu at a restaurant and they read everything. They look at every single page, they're going back and forth, they look at it all, they read it all, and then they'll place an order. Or, because they got to read it all. Or they'll go to their favorite restaurant, never pick up the menu, and they'll order what they always have ordered because, after all, that's all they need to know is what they've ordered before. What about a feeler? Well, since I'm a feeler, I can tell you that I order completely different than my husband. I just have to find the one thing, and it doesn't take me long. And once I found one thing that sounds good, I close it up, I can order. Or I'll wait until everybody else orders and see what they did and what sounds good to me without opening the menu or looking at it very minutely. Okay, so how about purchasing a car? This is classic, you guys, classic. A thinker will do it how? How will a thinker order a car? Well, or purchase a car? Well, they've got a list too. They've got a list of all the features they want and they need. And they'll read about the car. They'll review it. They'll look at the miles per gallon. They'll think about the seating space, the color, the price, the investment, the effort. Yep, they will do their research. Feelers, what will they do? Oh my gosh, you guys, we just go with our gut. What makes us feel excited? What do we like? Do we like the adventure of it all? And got to tell you though, if it takes too long for a feeler to make a purchase, they just lose interest. So they go with what they love. They go with their emotions on this. And they may walk away with a brand new car that only has one or two features that they actually really needed or wanted. You know, thinkers can be logical. They can be very systematic, and they do want proof. And they can also do another thing called detach. Detachment for feeler or thinkers is not as difficult as it is for feelers. Thinkers will seek facts. They like control. They like a controlled environment. And then changes, maybe not so much. They're slower to change. And many times you will hear a thinker say the word think within their phrases. Things like, I'm thinking that we should do this. Or what do you think about this? Or do you think I should wear this or purchase this, but I'm thinking I should do that? They'll use words like that. Where a feeler will say things like feelings. Feelers, they sense things and they are aware of their environment and people, and they make decisions on how they feel. And they will say things like, oh, I'm not really sure how I feel about this, or I feel that maybe we should get away early in the morning, or gosh, I feel kind of tense today. You'll hear them say that. So, but let's do a couple of examples, you guys, as your comments are coming in. Thanks. I love your comments. Denise, thanks for coming on. And Katya, it's good to have you on. I thought about you as a feeler today. Yes, my friend, we have that in common. And Debbie, thank you. Okay. Oh, Debbie, this is perfect. I'm a feeler who thinks that I'm a thinker. That is so true. So true. Let's talk about the difference between a feeler and a thinker. And I'm going to take a child. Okay. So there's a child bleeding on white carpet. A feeler, what will they do? Well, they will grab bandages and they will soothe the wounded child. And a thinker will pull the child off the white carpet first. Okay, so there's an example. In sales, the thinkers, okay, in sales and in really doing business, the thinkers are second time experienced purchasers. They really do think about it, read about it, ponder the decision before they buy, before they purchase, before they join an organization, before they switch careers. This is one of the things that feelers need to be aware of in your follow-up with them. So when you're following up with a thinker, you've got to follow up, because if you don't, you'll lose the customer. Thinkers are great to have as customers because they tend to be what? They tend to be loyal. They make decisions based on research and how they've interacted with you. What was that experience like? And that kind of decision is good enough for them. And if they made that decision 2 years ago, they'll usually stick with it. But how do you keep their business? Well, it's pretty easy, I think, to keep a thinker's business because you take care of them. You provide education for them, and you do what you say you're going to do with them. Okay? Now, feelers. Feelers like a quicker purchase. They are coming from more of an emotional place when they make a purchase. Feelers, they want an experience. And thinkers do not want to make a mistake. Okay? Feelers want the experience, and thinkers really don't want to make a mistake. Now, feelers will go on emotion more than, and also in warm fuzzies of buying and being part of an organization based on how they felt. They can feel energy in a room. You guys, they've got little things out that they can feel the atmosphere, the energy, the happiness, the camaraderie of a room. Now, however, if that feeling goes away, and sometimes those feelings do go away, or they become maybe dismantled a little bit. To keep this customer, you've got to understand what is important to them. What will help make them stay a customer? What will help them stay in your organization? Well, it's important to know their likes and their dislikes. Be more personable with a feeler. Know their kids' names. What's important to them? Know their important dates. And they will be your biggest initial purchasers, and they're most likely to act fast because they base it upon how they feel. Now, with one of my daughters, she's very much a thinker. Oh, yeah, she is. And I would ask her a question while she was growing up and even into her teen years, and she would think about anything before she responded. And she was usually interrupted by her brother, who would answer the question almost 100% of the time. And why? Why would that happen? Why would he answer her question? Because the pause was too long for him and he felt uncomfortable. Yeah, guess what? He's a feeler. So when we have a conflict, ask the question from the other person's point of view. Are they a thinker or are they a feeler? If you want a decision or if you are in a relationship, you want those relationships to go smoother. So tap into your opposite, tap into your feeler, tap into your thinker side of the brain. You know, you got both of them. So just tap into them a little bit. You know, our feelings really are a result of our thinking. And we've talked about that in earlier sessions, haven't we? Our feelings really are a result of our thinking. So changing the way that you think, you can control your emotional reactions to a situation. So, who stays longer in the thinking? Who stays longer in the thinking? So, who stays longer in the feeling? Because I tend to be more of a feeler myself, I've got to stop myself, slow down my thinking. Yeah, slow it down, because many times I've found that if I don't slow down my thinking, I react too quickly. And that can be very good, good or very, very bad. But in the past, it's gotten me into trouble a few times. Yet you have to also know that acting fast is really good for the thinkers. So thinkers sometimes need to speed up the benefit of feeling so they don't miss an opportunity or think too much and get into their brain too much. Okay, so in the DISC personality, DISC personality profiling, D's and C's are what? Well, D's and C's tend to be more the thinkers, and I's and S's tend to be more of the feeler side of it. So that could help you in understanding this a little bit more. What are you on that spectrum? Well, earlier I asked if you're a thinker or you're feeler. And I think you guys know, right? Yes. Are you a thinker or are you a feeler? What relationships do sometimes you struggle with at times? Are you married to your opposite? Do you have opposite friends? Most likely, all of you would say yes. So, what happens when two thinkers get together? How does that conversation go? How do they make decisions? How does their conversation just progress? Well, I can tell you that it will be facts before feelings, and their conversations have a tendency to maybe not last as long as the feelers conversation. And sometimes it may not make sense that a thinker is what they are thinking. Now, wait, I'm going to roll this back a little bit. Here's what I want to say about that. Okay, if a thinker senses that something is not true, that's what I want to tell you about. Sometimes when a thinker senses that something is not true, then they will think everything about that conversation is not true. Feelers, however, they'll look at life through a little bit more personal lens. They'll give a little more give and take. Things are not always as black and white. A lot more shades of gray with a feeler. More tactful. They are a lot of times more expressionally, emotionally expressive. And they are more comfortable with showing emotion. Now, why do we think that? Well, because science has shown us that about 2/3 of all men are thinkers, 1/3 are feelers. Just the opposite with women. With women, 2/3 of women are feelers and 1/3 are thinkers. Now, I know that there are proportionally differences in this. And I know, again, I want to stress this, that everybody has both sides of their brain, thinkers and feelers. For thinkers, if they go into a dispute with a little bit more love and compassion, it can really bring people together. Now, I'm talking about thinkers here. If you will come in with a little more love and compassion in the beginning, it can bring people together. For feelers, if you can go into any kind of dispute or conflicting conversation, if you can go in with a little bit more information and logic and be prepared, this can also bring people together. But remember to use both the thinker and the feeler. Okay? All right. So type in your comments and answer this question. How will this information serve you in your life and in your business? Because you know, my friends, it really will. How can it improve your relationships with yourself and with others? Because we know it does. So for years, I held weekly meetings where I trained all kinds of personalities. And I found that it was really important for me to appeal to the thinker and also the feeler. Okay, the thinker and the feeler. But how was I going to do that? Well, for example, I'm going to tell you how I did it. And I just wish that I had learned it so much earlier in my career. So I would start recognition right at the beginning of the meeting. But before they walked in, I had a hug for every single person. Oh, that's a feeler. They love that. And then start recognition with some fun music that really brought the energy up in the room. And then that recognition from the week before for our achievers. They were in my space up front, and they love that. They love that. The feelers love that. And I would also make sure that there was a funny story told, getting people laugh, or an emotional poem, or a testimony of product, or a tender story about customer service. Now, for the thinkers, I would make sure that during that recognition, there were tips to success. That the top performers would talk about how they gained that success, the tips on how they would actually do it. So this also is important for the thinkers to give them ask question and answers. They need that time. They want to be there for education. So my thinkers, I would also like to tell you that they want to get things right. They want to learn. They want to get things right. So role play was a very big part of many, many things that I did. My feelers would always got to do a little bit of pushback, but they liked it after a while because it was fun. They learned and they got to interact. My thinkers liked getting something right. Okay, are you with me on that? But each person would go away knowing that they gained more. The feelers were inspired and the thinkers were educated. So, how do you know a thinker from a feeler? Well, you might ask them. You might ask them, do you make decisions based on how you were thinking or how you're feeling? Which one would best describe you? Well, I know that when I've asked that question, what the thinkers tend to do is they tend to pause. Why? Because they're thinking about the question. And many times they'll say they're not sure, okay? Because thinkers also don't like to be pigeonholed. So if I get a little bit longer pause, it's kind of like okay, she's probably a thinker. But because of the tendency of women being 2/3 raised feelers, it's a pretty good bet that you are most likely having a conversation or speaking to a feeler, okay? But it's still a good place to start. It's a good thing to ask. Okay, let's find out what you're doing. Okay. Oh, let's see, Pat. I've always thought there was a thinker, but now I'm starting to think that I'm a feeler. Oh, yeah, just kidding, she says. And Katya, oh, yes, you definitely are a feeler. But sometimes we can overthink too. Yes, that's very, very true, especially if we're in a little bit of a feeler conflict. Yeah, that's what can happen is we can get into our head too much. Well, allowing people to be who they are and practicing a little bit more patience, it can make all the difference in the world. Our differences can really bring us together and give us a broader view of life. And that, my friend, is certainly going to benefit all of us. Okay, so thank you for being on Rich Girl today. Appreciate you being on this workshop. Appreciate all your comments. Thank you for spending some time with me today. And let's have your friends join in on it too. This is Rich Girl. I'm Suzanne Brothers Varley, signing off today. And I just want to send my love out to all you thinkers and all you feelers. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for joining in.